Hey guys and girls, I'm Jack, and all of my relatives simply hate my girlfriend. It's all because at the age of 16, I managed to fall in love with a 35-year-old history teacher. And I actually proved to everyone that we really were in love, and that hadn't been an act of harassment performed by an adult woman. Funny thing is, I never really liked girls. All my peers started flirting with classmates as soon as they were 12 or something like that. When all of us were 14, the boys were already dating someone and often told stories of how they kissed or awkwardly touched the girl's knees, and I was an exception. No, I was perfectly able to acknowledge the girl's charms and flaws. I understood, for example, that one of our beauty queens had great legs and not so great teeth. But I had zero desire to even simply communicate with girls. Yes, they were cute and cool and all, but I simply paid no attention to them. Once Dad even tried to awaken my hormones with the magazines full of provocative pics. As if I wasn't able to just Google such photos, really. After that unsuccessful attempt, my family officially declared me gay. Dad got drunk, Mom cried for a bit, and then I had to listen to an hour-long lecture. Guess Mom and Dad were trying to tell me that it was okay, and they'd understand me if I decided to make a final coming out. I didn't even try to correct them. Dad's face became so red that I got afraid for his health. To be honest, I wasn't really into boys either. At school we had a lecture on sex ed, which helped me to self-identify as an asexual. At the moment it was probably true. I simply didn't care about that facet of life. The adults once again told me that it was okay and they understood my position. I didn't care about that either. However, I really enjoyed my life. I studied a lot and loved music. The guitar essentially was my best friend and my greatest love at the same time. The acoustic guitar I'm talking about now actually belonged to my uncle many years ago until he forgot about it and left it at my dad's house. At first, Mom ordered me to play guitar only in the garage. But over time, the parents learned to appreciate my guitar skills. Mom even asked me several times to play something for her while she was cleaning the house. My studies went not that great. No, I was a decent student, especially for a guy, not at a nerd level, but close. In fact, I rarely even bothered with the lessons because there were always more interesting things to do. I lost interest in studies because of the accident in history class. You see, I was never great at hard science, but I always loved history. I enjoyed reading encyclopedias and studying historical references since childhood. Besides, I was pretty good with dates. I could talk for hours about various historical events, but our teacher at school couldn't care less about it. Our first history teacher was a 70-year-old lady who looked more like a living gargoyle. I don't really know why they kept her at school. Some say it was because of respect. I suspect that the headmaster was simply afraid to tell her that she no longer works there. So once she asked us to make reports about sailors, that was some sort of a competition with prizes. Besides, the final winner received a letter of recommendation that provided him or her with bonuses when entering a university or college. So each of us was encouraged to pick a seafarer and make a presentation describing his life and greatest deeds. Of course, we had to write about great explorers, admirals, and travelers, not ordinary fishermen. It happened so that I and the honor roll girl chose the same sailor. We wrote about Columbus, so in hindsight, it was actually surprising that there were only two of us. Well, I did my best. I gathered a lot of cool facts about Columbus and literally spent days working at our local library, buried in books, studying some old diaries and textbooks. In the end, my work looked more like an almost finished graduation thesis and not as a pupil's report. And my competitor just downloaded an encyclopedia article from the web and went away with it. Even now, I don't know why the teacher decided to come down at me like that. Furthermore, I don't know why no one told her anything except myself. Basically, she just destroyed me for no reason, and all of my peers and even adults were okay with it. The teacher took my report and tore it apart completely. She said that I hadn't done any research, that I filled the report with utter nonsense, and that I was just horrible at history, and that I invented everything. She trampled me in with the dirt, and at the same time kept praising the honor girl's report. That was an injustice of the highest caliber, and it felt incredibly insulting. The old hag declared the honor girl to be a winner of the school competition. When the girl entered the competition between the schools of our home city, and after that, even competed at the state level. And then, I accidentally found out that she used my report. I was outraged, yet the hag told me to keep quiet. Otherwise, she threatened me with lots of trouble. Since then, I just decided to boycott history lessons altogether. I defiantly kept silent in the classroom, did not do any work, and handed over blank sheets during the test. Everything was bad till the 9th grade. One fine day, the old hag wasn't around anymore. She either finally retired or died. I couldn't care less about her final fate. And our new teacher looked like a fairy from the tales. Her name was Miss Johnson. She was smart, she looked gorgeous, and I fell in love with her at first sight. Well, I was 16 at the time, and it turned out that I wasn't actually an asexual after all. Soon, I remembered that I used to like history, and became an honor roll student in no time. At first, Miss Johnson was confused. I was a brilliant pupil, and my report card was full of terrible marks. But during each lesson, she received new proofs of my knowledge, and soon, the new teacher trusted my skills. Now, with no one underestimating my progress, I became a rising star of our school. They even printed my reports in our local school newspaper. And for the final graduation competition, I prepared such a masterpiece that Miss Johnson applauded me, showered me with praise for 5 minutes straight. For me, it was the best motivation possible. This time, I was our school's representative at the citywide contest. The honor girl, of course, stated that I was just our teacher's favorite, and she just seized the opportunity to allow me to show off. Ms. Johnson and I worked together to make my report even better. We had a lofty goal. We wanted to get the state prize, and then, maybe, to enter the countrywide competition. I was sure that I could do so. I could have done anything if my history teacher just asked me to. As I've already mentioned, I unwittingly fell in love with Miss Johnson. It happened to me for the first time in my life, so I recognized the feeling when it was already too late. I noticed every movement of her delicate hands, her every smile and smirk. Sometimes it was just really uncomfortable. You see, my body also reacted to my feelings in the only possible way the teenager's organism reacts to love. So each time I saw those dimples, I was automatically reminded of my feelings in the most uncomfortable way. I really had hard times concentrating at the old city maps while fighting my own arousal. Besides, Miss Johnson was no fool. She perfectly understood what was happening to me, and somehow she wasn't angered by it. On the contrary, she made it so that we studied face to face in an empty classroom, and her neckline was lower and lower with each passing lesson. I can't really remember who finally initiated our relationship. Guess that I was thinking with a different head at that moment, so to speak. Well, yes, we began dating. At first, we just exchanged kisses in that empty classroom, and then she invited me to her place. Of course, we were hiding our relationship from the society as best we could. Several times, I even tried to break up with Miss Johnson for her own safety, but she was against it, and each time she proved me wrong in the most unfair way possible, in a bed. Miraculously, I managed to finish school at 16 and went to college. It turned out that fear for your beloved was a nice motivator after all. In my country, it was quite a rare case, but I actually managed to graduate as an external student. Besides, my achievements at the statewide contest really helped me out there. So now I wasn't a schoolboy anymore, but a full-blown student. Unfortunately, that did not help us much. No matter who I was, a schoolboy, a student, or even an owner of a master's degree, I was still a 16-year-old, and my girlfriend was 35. Once our secret was no longer a secret, mass persecution became unavoidable. Miss Johnson was accused of child molestation, someone filed a complaint to the police, and people went ballistic. Of course, no one actually molested me. Everything went by the mutual consent. Yet people did not care about her feelings. They refused to listen to the story about our love. The locals just needed a scapegoat, and my beloved Miss Johnson became a convenient target of their rage. At the trial, I was forced to act as an offended party, but they certainly weren't prepared for my speech. I didn't make any accusations. Instead, I stood in front of all of the journalists and a judge and told the whole city that I loved Miss Johnson, and if the society was against our relationship, I had no wish to live anymore. In short, I blackmailed everyone, and it worked. Now my teacher lover was free. The very next day after the trial, she and I fled to another state. Both of us understood perfectly that the people of my hometown wouldn't simply let us live a happy life together, but now everything is fine. I continue my studies and preparing for a diploma, and my beautiful wife, former Ms. Johnson, teaches at a private school where no one cares how old her husband is. You had a similar love story? Write about it in the comments. Share my video with others. Be sure to support me with your likes. And remember that true love doesn't care about age or social status. You simply either love somebody or not. Full stop.